So as you can see, we are currently caught in bumper to bumper traffic. So we figured this might be a good opportunity to talk about our 1 week van life review. So I don't know if you knew this, but we have been doing van life for exactly 1 week today. And we've had many ups and downs, some very high highs and some very low lows throughout that time. So I'm curious to know, what have been some of your favorite moments from this past week, and what have been some of your least favorite moments? And I'm pretty sure our least favorite moments will be exactly the same. And if you've been following the journey up to this point, you'll probably know what they are as well, but I'm definitely curious to hear your perspective. So let's start off with your favorite moments.
Definitely yesterday, I think going through Washington and just seeing the White House and just the vibe of Washington, and New Orleans and the po' boy and the beignet.
Yeah.
Those are probably my favorite moments so far. What about you?
For me, honestly, every time we crossed into a new state, that's something that I've always had an affinity for. And just going back to the video where we were walking around Seidel and I kind of told a little bit more about my story, I think it goes back to that experience of kind of being an outsider in a sense. And this is getting a little deeper than I anticipated, but basically I feel like ever since then, since I had that first experience moving to Texas and kind of being that outsider in a sense, I've always kind of craved that, and I almost feed off of it in a certain way. So every time we go into a new state, it's like I reignite that same feeling. It's also the same reason why I really enjoy being overseas as well, especially in places where I'm one of, if not the only, American in that particular place. But aside from that, to be a little more specific, definitely DC, I think has been a very high point for me, because that's a place I've never been to before. New Orleans, obviously I'm from there, or at least from that area, and I've been to the French Quarter and the Riverwalk dozens of times throughout my life. But within New Orleans, honestly, we weren't there for that long, but I did like Audubon Park quite a bit. I didn't really remember much of it before we went, but I enjoyed it quite a bit when we were there. And then definitely that vegan po' boy. That was the first time I had a po' boy since, at least since 2017, because that's when I went vegan. So we're probably looking at 2015, 2014, something like that. So definitely that right there. That's the only time that I've personally eaten out. Other than that, it's just been all beans, asparagus, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, granola bars. But we are on our way to Philadelphia right now, and we're gonna try, well, she's going to try a Philly cheesesteak for the first time, and I'm gonna have a Philly cheesesteak for the first time since I went vegan, I think. Could be wrong on that. But we're both pretty excited about that. And then after that, we are going to New York City. But before we go to New York City, let's talk about some of our low moments. Because we have had some very, very low lows. Before you even divulge your low moments, how many times per day do you wish we had stayed at my parents' house? How many times per day on average, if you had to guess?
Honestly, I don't think about it in terms of per day. Like, there's been days that I didn't think about it at all to go back.
Yeah.
Especially the last few days, I guess. But in the beginning, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like, but honestly, yeah. I didn't think about it that much, but just in those few fatal moments.
Yeah.
Just at that time, I would be like, maybe this wasn't a good idea.
Yeah. You get that sinking feeling.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, we're gonna have to do this for like 3 weeks or something.
Yeah. So can you elaborate on some of those moments?
Yeah. I'm trying to go back in time and think about what the first one was. Because honestly, this week went by so fast and we've experienced so much.
Yeah.
That I don't even really remember the order of things. But first thing was with the windshield on the back.
The windshield in the back.
Yeah. That it kept falling off with those suction cups.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that.
And that first night was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
We slept like 3 hours at most, I guess.
Yeah. That was rough.
Especially, I kept waking up every time that the windshield would fall and I would put it up again. And I was like, I don't know.
It kept falling on her side too. The suction kept falling on her side. At a certain point, I was like, let's just keep sleeping. Because nobody's going to look anyways, but... I
guess because of that, I just slept really light. And then I would just wake up. And
yeah.
Like, okay, might as well just put it up again. But yeah, that was like every half hour or something. And yeah, so that was pretty rough. And then, oh my god, I don't know why I decided to sleep with the blanket.
Yeah.
Because I woke up and I was drenched in sweat. And I was like, oh my god. And it was like so hot.
So hot.
That was one of the most horrible nights so far. And then, well, we got that fixed. And then the next thing happened. What was the next thing? I think it was the cooler falling. Yeah. We were just driving and then this cooler decides to just fall over with all this water in there.
No, but look, let's give them a little more context, right? So, just like you just said, the window cover was falling off. So that night, we went ahead and rearranged the whole entire van.
Yeah. Just
to put the curtain back there. Maybe you can see the curtain in the back. It's open right now. But we rearranged the whole entire back of the van. And we were feeling so good about ourselves. And then that next day, the next morning actually, first of all, that day, we woke up at around 3 a.m. and couldn't go back to sleep after. So we're already tired. And we're thinking, okay, well, at least we're ahead on the day. We have a lot of time. And then the cooler thing happened. So if you just want to explain that whole scenario.
Yeah, so I think it was like we were coming up to a red light and you had to stop pretty quickly.
Yep.
And then, so because of that, everything shifted to the front. And all the water, because the ice in the cooler had melted.
Because it was so hot.
Completely. Like there was only water in there. And we should have just emptied it out.
Yeah, and to her credit, she did say that we should empty it out. Literally that same morning, right before that happened.
Yeah, I don't know, I had a feeling.
Yeah.
I guess my intuition was trying to tell me.
Yeah.
I had a feeling like we should just get about this water, and you were like, no, let's just do it later.
Yeah.
You're just stubborn.
Yeah.
And then the water comes out all over the sheets and especially your bed.
But did you know that the water came out instantly, or did it take you a second? Because it hit the back of my seat, so I couldn't even see the water. It was just by her reaction, I assumed that something catastrophic had happened.
Yeah, like,
and then I turned around and I saw it just spilling out, and I was like, oh my fucking gosh.
Like I saw it kind of like flying, and then I saw the water, and I was like, oh my god. This whole thing just opened up, and then I was like back here trying to like close that thing.
Yeah.
While it was happening.
Because that's where we keep all of our electronics. We keep all of the laptops and chargers.
It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Fortunately, nothing of that got bad. But we were just so pissed because we were like, okay, first of all, we were just sleep deprived.
Yeah.
Then we framed it to ourselves like, okay, we'll have so much time this day and we can make a lot of progress. And then that happens and we were just set back a couple hours. Because then we had to, like, what's the word for this? Bring out the water.
Yeah.
The sheets.
It was drenched.
Yeah.
It was like if you threw it in a swimming pool and then took it back out.
It's so crazy. And then we had to get new ice, and then we had to find a laundromat and get detergent first.
Yeah.
It would have been crazy if we were at the laundromat and then found out that we didn't have detergent.
I would have folded. I'd have been like, let's just go back.
But yeah, that was pretty rough. It's pretty miserable. But I mean, we got a situation.
Yeah, we did. Just in time for the next thing to happen.
Yeah.
Which, if you want to explain that event, obviously I've made videos about pretty much all of these things, but let's just recount it in hindsight now.
So I don't know where we were.
We were in Gautier, Mississippi.
Yeah. And we were just at the rest stop. We were eating, and everything had gone well up until that point.
Yep.
And then
There's a common theme there. It's like just when we think things
Yeah.
are going perfectly fine,
that's so
something would
fucked
just
up.
happen.
It's like, oh, okay, we're good. Now we're good. We can just go, get back on track, and then boom, next thing happened.
Yeah.
We think we're done eating and we can just start driving again. Then, where is the key?
No, listen. I wish I could have seen that scenario from her eyes just to see the look on my face when I realized that key was not in my bag. Because I usually keep the key in this bag right here, and if it's not in this bag, it's in my pocket. So I'm looking, I'm emptying my shit out, trying to figure out where the key is. And then I had that dreadful realization. I was like, that shit is still in the van. And I'm steady trying to open the doors, all of them are locked. So I'm like, oh my gosh, there is no way.
Yeah.
And the thing is, my first thought was, I need to call a locksmith. But then I realized the car, this van right here, is not in my name. So what is it going to look like if I'm calling a locksmith to open up a car that isn't in my name? It's gonna look really fucking suspicious. So then that's when internally, I don't know how I seemed from the outside looking in, internally I started to panic. So I was like, yeah, I think we might be fucked. So that was a situation I literally did not know how to navigate at all. But if you could just walk us through how you felt in that moment where you realized that key was in the car.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god. I was like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna solve this? Like, I was more so just trying to solve it.
Yeah.
Then when you think about what this could mean.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we need to do something about this and get this key out of there somehow. But yeah, fortunately enough, that man wanted to help, and then he came. But then it took so long because there was traffic,
Yeah.
and we were there for, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours.